everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to Mystical Munchies, featuring recipes from the World of Tolkien. The appetizer, the spice pear and cranberry muffins last week, actually turned out to be really good. So we're on to the side this week, strawberry and lavender shortcakes. First up, let's tell the story. The scents and tastes of summer come together in edible form in these gorgeous shortcakes. Well, it's a little early for summer. They're best eaten on the day they're filled, but the plain biscuits can be stored in an airtight bin for up to 3 days. Well, we'll see how good they are because the ingredients are waiting for us over at the table, so let's move in that direction. As usual with the ingredient measurements, I've converted into cups where applicable. For this recipe, we need 150 grams of plain flour plus extra for dusting, that's also known as 1 1/4 cups. 25 grams or 1/8 of a cup of ground rice, which we'll be grounding that up. 125 grams, aka half a cup of butter that I've already cubed up. 50 grams or 1/3 of a cup of caster sugar, I'm using regular sugar for that. And a tablespoon of lavender peels. I'm using herbes de Provence with lavender in them. Then to decorate, we need 250 grams of strawberries, 150 milliliters of double cream. We could also use 16 small lavender sprigs or sifted icing sugar for dusting. We're not going to use either one of those ingredients though. Now let's move into the kitchen and start putting this recipe together. You'll probably hear the oven chirping in the background. We've got that preheating to 350. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the flour and the rice and put them... There's the oven chirping. We're going to take the flour and the rice and put them into a food processor. So I've got my 1/4 cup of measuring cup. So flour is going to be 1, 2. Hopefully I've got enough in here. 3. 4. And I'll go up to my bag for a little more because I've got an extra bag up here. I'm going to pour this out in the sink because I like being able to contain the mess where possible. Okay. And here comes our 5th 1/4 cup. A little bit heaping since I had to take some liberties with one of the earlier cups I counted out. But anyway, 5 times 1/4 is 1 1/4. Clean that up a little bit. Then we'll take our ground rice. We're using brown rice because that's what I happen to have handy. And we've got a 1/4 cup here, but remember, I want half of that, so I'm looking for 1/8 of a cup. Okay. Carton that up. So that's everything in the food processor. Now we're going to bring the butter over. See if we can get these extra little specks in here. Probably not, but we'll do as much as we can. I think that's about all we're going to get out of there. I'll give my hands a quick wash. And then we're going to process this until it resembles fine breadcrumbs. I'm going to take my Apple Watch off because the next step's going to need that off. Trying to make sure we get that lid to fall on, which it's not wanting to go for me there. Let me see if I can get at it from this side. I don't know why I'm having problems with this food processor today. There we go. Okay. There, we got it figured out. So here's your 5-second warning before I start processing this, and we want to process it down until it resembles fine breadcrumbs. What the? That's a problem. You should be plugged in. Okay, why are you not? Everything's plugged in. The lid should have been locked in place. That's... Okay, something isn't working here with the food processor. Plugged in. I know it's got power to it. It's the blade nut. That might be the problem. The blade didn't seem like it was locking down properly. It seems like it's fine though. There's the oven coming to temperature while I fight with this blade. I'm going to turn the camera off while I figure this out. Turns out the difficulty I was having was that the bowl of the food processor wasn't locking down properly. Once I got that figured out, I did the processing off camera, and here's what it looks like as I moved it into a mixing bowl. So now we're going to take the sugar and the lavender petals, aka the herbes de Provence. So we've got our 1/3 cup here for the sugar. That can go back up. And our tablespoons of the herbe de Provence with lavender in it. Wow, filled to the brim. Okay. Alright, we can put that over there. And then we just want to mix that up and squeeze the crumbs together to form a smooth ball. So we'll give that a quick mix up. Actually, before we do that, let's put the shaker for the herbes de Provence back on. There we go. The lid wasn't wanting to screw back on for me. Okay. So now there's the quick mix together. Now we want to start squeezing it together with my hands to form a ball. So let's see if we can get this all put together. This is very crumbly, which is making me very nervous. Because I've never been very good at making snowballs, which this is essentially the same idea. Because if this turns out too crumbly, I'm not going to be able to make the... If this turns out too crumbly, I'm not going to be able to do the next step. Okay, that one seems to be holding together. The rest of this seems to be very crumbly, which is exactly what I'm afraid of, as I'm going to be trying to eventually roll this out. Look at this. Well, it seems to be, it's weird where it seems to hold together a bit more. It seems to have problems when it's a smaller ball, but as soon as I put it into the bigger ball, everything seems to be packing together just fine. Oh, there, I just had a little bit crumble off. That's basically what I'm trying to do here, is I'm trying to crumble everything together in little bits. I'm trying to crumble it together in small passes and then put it into the bigger ball. And once I get into the bigger ball, it seems to be holding fine. Well, for the most part anyway. Although that seems to be holding together just fine so far. Actually, I'm gonna dump this. I don't want to dump it out because I'm gonna need a floured work surface for the next step. So carefully, we'll just grab another couple handfuls here. We're probably also not going to be able to get all of the dough in here, but we're certainly going to get as much as we can. Actually, maybe I will dump this out to make it a little bit easier to start crumbling the rest of it up. Let's see if that gives me any kind of help. Seems to be so far. We'll probably be able to get most of it into the bigger ball. Or I might be at a point where I'm honestly just starting to tread water with it. But I think we are able to get most of it. I think we're going to be able to get most of it in here, though. Which is a lot better than I expected to do when I first started with this. Alright, I think we're just going to take that. I think we're just going to take that and work with it as... I'm starting to lose some of it, so we're going to just kind of settle with that as being our ball. I'll give my hands a quick wash off, then I'll get rid of the excess. I'll get rid of the excess that I couldn't use. So we'll get all of this clear. The rest of that will go in the garbage. And then we will move into the next step with our ball over here. We've got a lightly floured work surface here, so what we want to do now is we want to knead this and roll it out on a lightly floured work surface until it's about 5 millimeters thick. So we've got it already kneaded together as best as we're going to get it, so now we're going to work on rolling that out. And I've got my rolling pin over here. Whoa! And it just crumbled on me as soon as I put the rolling pin to it. That's great. Okay, so I think plan B is going to be to just see about flattening this out by hand. The ball just crumbled as soon as I took the ball just crumbled, and I don't think the shortcakes are going to hold together either. That ball just crumbled on me as soon as I tried to take the rolling pin to it, which is not something I like seeing. I can't even really roll it out to flatten it out. Because as soon as I try to start flattening it out, as soon as I start trying to flatten it out, everything just goes apart on me. Obviously, this didn't hold together as well as I thought it did. There are not many recipes I let get the better of me. I think I've only been ever beaten on Mystical Munchies by the Touch of Death, which were those were the cookies back in the Dungeon Meister cookbook when we revisited that last year. And I think I had the same problem there. I had the same problem then that I am now, where the mixture just wasn't holding together, and I'm worried that as soon as I take the ring cutter to this, it's just going to completely crumble on me. Let me see if the rolling pin gives me any help here. Nope. Great. I think that's probably about as flat as I'm going to get it. This is a crumbly mess. Alright, well, let's give it a shot with the... That's about as flat as I can get it. I don't think it's going to hold together, but let's see what happens when I take the ring cutter to it. See if I can lift that out. I had a spatula. I'm going to grab another spatula, actually. Let's see how well this lifts out after I took the ring cutter to it. Actually, it lifted out pretty well. Well, and as soon as I set it down, it starts to crumble on me again. But we did manage to get one out. So now we're going to transfer that to an ungreased baking sheet. As I don't trust ungreased, especially for cleanup, I'm actually going to go ahead and grease up a baking sheet anyway, even though the recipe says not to. Just to make cleanup a little bit easier on myself. And I had something go flying on. The off camera. So we are going to go ahead and grease up a baking sheet. So I've got the baking sheet just off shot. Okay. So we'll go ahead and put the first shortcake on there, trying to keep it as intact as I can. Now we're going to re-knead the rest of the trimmings and repeat until we get as many cakes as we can out of this. Then after that, I'm going to prick them with a fork, and then we'll bake them for about 10 to 12 minutes. So I'm going to shut the camera off while I work on the rest of the cakes. Now we're going to start getting the strawberries ready to serve. So we're going to start off by cutting a few of the strawberries in half. We're not going to bother with hulling the rest of the strawberries. I'm just going to cut up like 3 or 4 of these. And I think one more. Okay, we'll drop that in the dishwater as well. Ooh. We'll throw the tops out. And then we'll put the halved strawberries aside for the time being. Then we're going to bring a bowl and shot with a heavy cream. We want 150 milliliters of that, which I've got a measuring cup for that right over here. Give that a quick shake. Technically it's supposed to be double cream, but as you can't really find that on this side of the pond, that's why we're using heavy cream instead. Okay, yep, that's a little bit more, but the meniscus is fine. Let's see if we can scoop some of this out. Okay. I'll leave the spatula here for the time being. We'll put the rest of the heavy whipping cream away. And we'll give this a whip. Right, I don't think there's any kind of consistency that they want here, is there? No. Actually, we're supposed to have more ingredients in there. Does not look like it. Okay. I don't think it's got enough consistency to be spooned, does it? You lift it out with a spoon? No. Alright, I didn't think so. So that'll go into the dishes as well. Then we'll pour the heavy cream over the cakes, which are still a little bit on the crumbly side. I think they're probably expecting the double cream to be a bit richer. Then we'll top this with the strawberries. And I'm predicting I'm not going to be happy with how this turns out, because that looks like it's essentially soup. So I think we're going to be checking on the consistency of the cakes mostly. But we can head over to my desk for the taste test. I've got the shortcakes over here, so let's give these a taste and see what I think. They still looked a little bit crumbly coming out of the oven, but we'll see how these turned out. It looked like they're holding together for the most part, but let's give it a try. I'm thinking the lavender was supposed to make this a little bit sweeter than it actually is, but that, I don't know, that almost tasted like something you'd probably use more at a lunch or a dinner kind of meal. And it doesn't help that the heavy cream is still very liquidy. I don't think it whipped as much as I was hoping it would. That part of it still bothered me a bit as well. Admittedly, it might not be a taste I'm used to, so that might be playing into it a little bit as well. But overall, this wasn't very good, not worthy of a garbage dump on Mystical Munchies, but because there's only one recipe that I've ever made that was a garbage dump. This isn't going to be the second garbage dump in the history of Mystical Munchies, but it's not too far off the mark either. I probably will still at least finish up a couple of these cakes, but I don't think I'm going to have them all. But that will be another episode of Mystical Munchies in the books. Later this afternoon, we'll be at Anaheim Stadium in Anaheim, California for an American League West matchup in my 1985 season ticket baseball replay, as the Oakland Athletics will be visiting the California Angels. Tommy John will be on the mound for the A's, and Ron Romanick will be up for the Angels. Tomorrow we'll have a doubleheader as well, as we'll have another block as a Sunday morning video tomorrow. Wednesday we're going to be doing season ticket football, and next week we're making the entree fish and chips. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.
Thank you.